Welcome back, everybody, to Hoops HD. It
Woohoo!
is Wednesday, February 25th, and and we'll get to this a little more at the end of the show. It is our regular season finale of Under the Radar.
What? Why? Why don't we keep it going?
We're going to keep it going even more intensely after this, but we're going to call it
Oh,
something else. How's that
okay.
sound?
Okay, that's
Uh,
good.
uh,
Because people are
but
demanding a second season.
second season, we're on about
Yeah,
our 15th season, aren't
yeah,
we?
I think so.
Should we have a cliffhanger ending this year?
Yeah.
I'm your host, Chad Sherwood. Got David Dorman over there, Rocco Miller from Bracketeer.org, and from somewhere in California. Where you at? A bar there, Rocco?
I think this is Orinda. It's on the way to Moraga, Chad.
Oh, all right.
Good
You're
old
going.
Orinda.
You're on your way to a big game tonight. That's not under the radar, I believe. Correct?
That is correct. Yes, WCC. And if the selection committee is not kind this year, maybe they should be under the radar.
Yeah.
Oof.
Ooh.
Right. Got David Griggs with us too down there. One more that might be joining us. Mike Traub might be jumping in if he can. But this is our Under the Radar podcast where we concentrate on the leagues that are not normal multi-bid leagues. That means none of the power conferences, no SEC, Big 12, Big 10, ACC, no Big East. Also, the American, the Mountain West, and the West Coast, we handle those on Monday nights. They are not under the radar. The American this year has moved down under the radar,
Yeah.
deservedly so. Uh, Other exception, any team that's in the top 25, we consider on Monday nights. Miami, Ohio, we may mention them. They're not really under the radar, so we'll maybe talk about the teams they've played. We'll talk a little Eastern Michigan tonight, maybe, but no Miami themselves. How's that sound, Griggs?
Sounds great.
Uh, Actually, my thought was before we even get to the screen share, and we like to go through these conferences in alphabetical order. We like to start with the feature conference. Before we even get to our feature conference, I think we should talk a little bit about the WAC first, because there was a fairly significant ruling in the Utah Valley story that we've been following. Just came out yesterday afternoon that Utah Valley was granted a temporary restraining order against the WAC. It's a 14-day temporary restraining order, which provides that, number one, their games are back on ESPN Plus streaming, so we can watch their game this weekend.
Yeah.
Number two,
I submitted evidence to the wrong judge by mistake, but I did submit evidence.
the judge, she also ruled that temporarily for these 14 days, the Utah Valley can participate in WAC championships. Really only applies, I think, to indoor track and field, which is going on this weekend.
Yes.
As far as the WAC men's basketball tournament, that's a little more than 14 days out. Women's basketball, same thing. It's about 2.5 weeks out. That was not covered by this temporary restraining order. Coming up Friday is another hearing. We'll either get a ruling Friday or I expect by Monday at the latest for a preliminary injunction, which would last as long as the lawsuit is going on. So it would definitely cover the WAC tournament to allow Utah Valley to play in there. I know, Rocco, from day one, you've been saying, I've been including Utah Valley in my brackets. They're going to win this. They already won round one. I'm with you. I think the more facts we look at this case, I think this is I think the WAC is completely wrong in this case, quite honestly.
Yeah, and I definitely trust your opinion more than most on that, being given your background, and I know you've been really in the details
Oh, well,
on the
thank you.
latest
I mean,
on.
that's very nice of you to say.
You're
Oh, you're
welcome.
talking to never mind.
Yes, I am, Chad. Sorry, Griggs. Back to the bunker for you. But I would just say that you've done a great job reading through the details there. From a basketball perspective, they basically had two outs, right? Like they have this out as a possible way to stall and get through the time period, which allows them to compete, get to March Madness if they can win the WAC tournament, compete in the WAC tournament, etc. Or if all of this got shut down somehow, some way, they still had it out by paying the $1 million. So I thought between those two scenarios, there was a high likelihood Utah Valley would find a way. And I think it would have just been a tragedy to not compete in a year where there's only 7 teams and they're the best team in the league. They won't have, from an odds perspective, Dorman might know more about that than me, but I would imagine they'll never have this high of a percentage going into a conference tournament of advancing to March Madness than they will right this minute this year. So they had to do something.
I Yeah, and as much as I don't want to admit it, I got to echo Chad. You've done a good job explaining this. When this first came out, I just thought it was similar to what we've seen before of schools trying to move without paying and living up to their agreement. But it turns out the situations here were different.
Yeah,
Um,
I can even just kind of fill it briefly, just real quick to
yeah,
summarize. Basically, Utah Valley and the entire WAC signed an agreement that said as long as you waited 2 years, they signed this 2 years ago, as long as you waited through the 2026 season, you could leave without paying anything. And then 7 out of 8 WAC teams without Utah Valley agreeing changed that and put the $1 million fee back in. And Utah Valley says, well, wait a second. I signed an agreement. I signed a contract with you saying I don't have to pay if I want to leave after 2 years. And you guys unilaterally changed the terms of my contract with me? I think that's BS, honestly. Go ahead.
well, yeah, it is, and that is the best summation. A contract is any change to a contract or any change to an agreement without everybody that was part of the initial agreement agreeing to the change is invalid. I mean, that's oversimplifying it, perhaps, but isn't that correct? Utah Valley,
I
on the
think that is
basis,
simplifying it down to a T, actually, Griggs. That is the issue.
yeah. And so Utah Valley, by not agreeing to it, means the change is invalid and they shouldn't have to pay. Two things I was wondering, what is the WAC accomplishing other than spite? Because say the WAC does have a claim and they deserve the $1 million, what does excluding them from not just the men's and women's basketball championships, but all the championships accomplish for them? Does that lessen their chances of winning in court and getting the million? And at this point, what the hell does it matter? Let them play. That's sort of the way I look at it now. You're just being petty. And the second thing is,
Yeah, I'll tell you, I think it gives them two things. It gives them the spite to kind of
yeah,
kick Utah Valley the ass of the way out. And of course, it also gives them.
$1 million.
true. Yeah, but they can get the million even whether they let them play or not. And the second
Later
part
on.
is, how spiteful are they? Are they going to try and pull some hyper technicality crap of, well, it's the conference's auto bid, and we're not going to give it to the tournament champion this year?
But at the end of the day, they side here. But why don't we try to go ahead and jump in here and get to these conferences?
Yeah, yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Let's turn to actually on the court. We like to do a feature conference. I looked through the conferences we haven't done yet, looked at the standings, and I think it was a slam dunk who we do for our final week here. It is one of the tightest, best conference races we have going down the stretch. I think it's time to talk a little OVC hoops this week with 3 teams in a tie in the loss column. Morehead State with a half game lead here with, for Morehead, 1 game left. Everybody else 2 games left to play. Conference tournament uses a ladder format, so the top 2 seeds will buy into the semis, 3 and 4 into the quarters. And Rocco, let me start with you. This is a crazy race going down to literally the last 2 games of the season.
Yeah, it really is. It's been a fun one to track. I think, it started with UT Martin and their big non-conference performances, winning at Bradley, winning at UNLV, playing consistently well, having the international team of the country with 13 international players, some elite players with that could eventually end up in higher levels of college basketball. Yes, I am talking about Matas Denuisas, the freshman sensation. Probably will be in the transfer portal soon, but I'm enjoying him while we have him in the Ohio Valley Conference. And then, of course, we had the emergence of Tennessee State, where Aaron Rekmura, I always mess up his name. Apologies, Aaron, but he's been probably the OVC's most valuable player. Nolan Smith, an incredible story, takes over the job last minute right before the season starts, now in position to potentially win an OVC title. The key here to the tiebreaker, SEMO, plenty of accolades go to them as well. Winning at UT Martin to be in this 3-way tie at the top now. Brad Korn's always been one of my favorite coaches in this league. We'll see if he gets an opportunity to move up or if he just loves it in Cape Girardeau. And Morehead State's been a pleasant bounce back team. I mean, it's once been thought of as by far the best job in the conference. Coach Freeman doing a good job in year 2. So shout out to all those guys. I think, SEMO, with the way that they're defending right now, it is really impressive. Technically, it's the 3rd best defense for the season, but I think lately they've really been controlling and preventing different offensive systems to work, like you saw in the UT Martin game. Morehead's been spicy, handling their business and playing their best ball of late. And then, of course, Tennessee State. So now we get Tennessee State SEMO on Thursday night, and Moorhead goes to Little Rock, and that's a game Moorhead's got to get, and that should set the stage for an unbelievable final Saturday.
Yeah, Dorman, this is what a game here Thursday, though. Tennessee State at SEMO, especially if we assume Moorhead State wins at Little Rock, which is not a given. Little Rock
Not a given after last night.
Yeah.
Moorhead State struggled last night, but they came out victorious against Southern Indiana. But you said it right, Chad. This could be a setup for an incredible weekend. Tennessee State's going to SEMO, and I love the coaches in this conference. I always have. They always seem to be young, up and coming. I love Coach Corn, and I'm going to give some credit to head coach of Tennessee State, Nolan Smith, the former Duke. He sat on the Duke bench for a while, and he waited his time until he got a head job that he liked. And in his first year as Tennessee State playing better than they have in years. So I give Nolan Smith a lot of credit, and it's going to be a great weekend in the Ohio Valley. And they're one of the first teams to get going in the conference tournament. So the top two seeds, like you just said, Chad, are buying to the semis. So these top two spots are so important.
One other thing still at stake here, only 8 teams make the tournament. Eastern Illinois, Griggs, in a little bit of trouble. Not only are they a game behind, but the last 2 games are both on the road. But if they could somehow go 2-0, they could still sneak in over Little Rock or Tennessee Tech there.
They really could. It's not over yet. So Little Rock, they have Moorhead State tomorrow and Southern Indiana on Saturday. Southern Indiana already eliminated one of the weaker teams, although they did almost win at Moorhead last night. Arguably should have won that game. I think Moorhead won on their last possession or something like that. But I'm trying to figure out the tie. If all 3 end up tied, I believe it goes SEMO, then Tennessee State, then Moorhead. Is that right?
You're talking about the top of the conference.
Yeah, at the top of the conference.
I was looking at the bottom of the conference. Yeah. Well, I don't know if they will end up tied because of the fact that Tennessee State and SEMO are playing tomorrow night.
Okay.
So that we could end up with
Tennessee State.
So we could end up with a straight 2-way tiebreaker. It could still end up in a 3-way tie. Could even theoretically end up in a 4-way tie with UT Martin. So it could get crazy.
Tennessee State's at UT Martin on Saturday, which will be the big game of the day then. And the loser of that game figures to not be in the position to be a top 2.
Yeah. And the big thing is getting the top 2 because you buy all the way into the semis.
Absolutely.
Okay, if you want to talk again, though, a little bit about the bottom of the conference, Eastern Illinois shots, they've got to win 2 road games. But if they can go 2-0 this week, Tennessee Tech has a pair of road games at UT Martin, at SEMO, very tough road games. And Eastern Illinois swept Tennessee Tech of the season. So Eastern Illinois still has a real path with a 2-0, real legitimate shot at 2-0 to make this conference tournament. So
they do.
A lot of storylines here.
Absolutely. Here's an extra one for you, Chad. If Little Rock has a bad week, look for that job to open up pretty quick. There's already been some rumblings that the hot seat is real. I think a miss of the entire Ohio Valley Conference tournament would be a nail in the coffin there, unfortunately. But Little Rock, a team riddled with injuries throughout the year. Coach Walker's done a good job over his time there, but it might just be a time for a clean break is what some of the sources I've been talking to have been saying. So that's another thing to look out for by the end of next week.
Rocco, I honestly don't know if a 7th or an 8th seed in a first-round loss in the OVC tournament does much better for a team that was expected to contend for the title of this season heading into the year. So.
Exactly correct. You said it yourself.
Let's jump over to the rest of the conferences. Go back to the America East here first. Dorman, let me start with you, where suddenly UMBC has a 2-game lead in the loss column following Vermont's win over NJIT over the weekend.
Yeah, Vermont and NJIT were in a tough battle on Saturday, early evening, late afternoon. Vermont was struggling in the first half in a game they had to have because I believe they had already lost to NJIT. So they get the win on Saturday over NJIT after I praised NJIT last week over how well they had been playing. But you're right, Chad, now it's the Terriers. UMBC, after beating Vermont last week, and they took care of Albany, which we thought they would, really hold the keys. They're in the driver's spot. If they can finish out strong, they got that UMass Lowell on the road, but they finish at NJIT, and that could be for all the marbles. That could be a fantastic final game. in the NEC if UMBC and NJIT are 1-2 going into it. We will see. And Vermont, like we just said, not done yet either.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we know that this conference, Rocco, goes to campus sites for the conference tournament, which we love.
We do.
I mean, I think UMBC is in a real good shot for that 1 seed. But hey, what if we do it with Vermont at UMBC? We saw the reverse of that happen the year that UMBC then went on to beat Virginia.
We did. It'd be a little bit backwards here. Vermont's almost always the 1 seed, so always good to mix it up a little bit. It'd be fun to see games played out there at UMBC. And again, that NJIT finale could loom large, but UMBC just goes and wins both games this week. It's over. They have a 2-game lead right now, so their magic number is just 2, and so. An NJIT loss this week combined with a UMBC win or just UMBC 2 wins, and it'll be over by Saturday night. So that'll be for the 1 seed at least. Obviously, everybody else playing for the other seeds and home games and all that good stuff. But this will be a rocking tournament on campus. You would imagine if Vermont can get to UMBC in the finals, they would bring the busloads down from Burlington. So it could be a lot of fun.
It should be, and a nice job by UMBC. It seems like the cue ball finally broke all the balls on the table apart, and UMBC finally broke away. I mean, this had just been
6 wins in a
gridlocked
row.
for, yeah.
And
that
now
has yet to
remember,
happen in some other conferences, like the one we just looked at in the Sun Belt. But
and the American East reseeds after each round. So even if UMBC does clinch, the 2 over the 3 becomes so important because you want to get that semifinal. If the 2 versus 3 seed holds, you want that game on your home court. So Vermont NJIT, second place is so important here.
Not only the home court game, a chance to host a championship game if something crazy happens and UMBC gets knocked off in one of the early rounds.
Absolutely.
Mike Cha joining us, by the way. Mike, good to have you on as well. We were just jumping over, Mike, to the ASUN conference. And why don't I ask you about this here, where Austin Peay is on the verge of clinching the outright conference championship, especially following a nice week by them, another nice week by them.
Yeah, this is basically the last week of the season in the regular season. So when you're up by 2 games, that's a lot. Barring some crazy circumstance, Austin Peay should be the outright regular season champion.
Yeah, Central Arkansas. God, I nothing against Gulf Coast losing that game in overtime, because Central Arkansas and Austin Peay played a night, and that would have been that would have been for the conference championship or the most likely first place team. There's still another game to go. Imagine the storyline if this was still at campus sites and those 2 were playing tonight, how much fun that game would be.
Agreed.
Awesome.
But we were just that overtime away from this game tonight. So it's still a huge game, and theoretically, if Central Arkansas wins this game and beats Queens, and Austin Peay loses at Bellarmine over the weekend, Central Arkansas can still do it.
In Central Arkansas. One of the I know Rocco loves them, but he's right. They're one of the better stories in all of college basketball. What a great story! Not much history. Yeah,
Scottie Pippen would be proud.
Yeah, he should be. He should be proud. Bellarmine's 4-3 at home this year in the conference, so it's not impossible for them to beat Austin Peay on the final day. That's important because tonight's game between UCA and APSU is the only time they play each other. So whoever wins this, if Central Arkansas can get the win, they'll have the tiebreaker.
Yeah,
and that will put all the eyes of the ASUN on Bellarmine for once. At least it's been a few years, and that would be an exciting, at least dramatic Saturday if we can get a Central Arkansas win tonight. But I agree with Griggs. I watched a lot of the last few minutes of the game live at Gulf Coast, and the way they let that thing get into overtime with a full court pass and an open layup. That was not something that most teams on an 11-game winning streak would do. And that's the only thing that, got the thing to OT, and then Gulf Coast outlasted them again in the final minute. So Central Arkansas, it's a learning opportunity. You'd rather lose that one than have that happen in the conference tournament.
Right. I'll throw this out there also here. Central Arkansas, since they've gone D1, their best season ever was 18 wins. They're at 18 right now. They win tonight or they win over the weekend. This will lock up their best season ever plus you still got the conference tournament and maybe some postseason play, possibly NCAA. I still would think they'd get maybe a CBI invite as well, should they at some
Yeah,
point here too.
and they finished with Queens, Chad. So that
very
would be a
winnable.
really exciting final day because Queens, of course, has clinched a bye. So has Lipscomb, and Queens has the opportunity. They're losing right now at EKU, but it's early. Queens still, as we speak here right this minute, they have the opportunity to play their way up to the 2 line. So pretty important game there, no matter what happens today between Queens and Central Arkansas.
And this is going to be, if the chalk holds, by the time you get down to the semis, just a fun tournament. It always is. It was a lot of fun when it was at campus sites. It was a fun season. They ruined it.
I just realized I skipped a conference. We'll go back to them right now. Dorman, the American Conference. I've been doing pretty good. It's the first time I missed them since we relegated them down here. South Florida in clear control of the conference right at this point, though.
They just playing great ball. I believe they won 5 straight now. They struggled out of the gate. I had big hopes for them, and they didn't come out exactly on fire, and they took a few weeks to get it going. But to me, this is the class of the American. I really believe that. I think they're stronger and better than Tulsa. Tulsa had the better record for a while in this conference, but I think South Florida is actually playing as well as they have all year. They're really finding their stride. They absolutely killed Memphis over the weekend. They won by 20-21. And I think Brian Hodgson's done a phenomenal job. It was an impossible job last year. I'm sure it's not much easier this year with the passing of the former coach. And I give the players and the entire program a huge credit for sticking with it and coming through. And now this would be a great story to see them in the tournament.
Yeah, really would.
Yeah, I'll throw it out there still. I've said it. I don't believe that this team can get an at-large bid, but if they win out to the championship game and lose there to Tulsa, I think they're going to at least have a drum to beat that they should be considered.
Considering how weak the bottom of the at-large pool is, why not?
They do have 2 quad 1 wins already. I don't think they can get another one unless maybe a Tulsa win in the conference tournament somewhere could do that, but I don't think it's
But then
possible.
it would make it moot. They would get the automatic bid.
Yeah, unless they can beat them in the semifinals somehow. I don't. And Tulsa's still in a battle with Wichita and UAB for that 2 seed. I'll throw it out there also, Rocco. If we look at teams heading into the conference tournament that could steal a bid, Wichita State's been playing some great basketball lately, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. It's just I want to see it for more than 2 weeks. Until I really trust them. They've just been so up and down during the Mills era, and who knows? For all we know, maybe they're playing to keep Mills around and playing for him really hard. But that win over Tulsa was a good start to that. The double OT win at East Carolina, they came out really flat, but they did pull it out late. And then Temple's had a pretty good year that they handled them okay on Saturday. So we'll see. I don't know until Wichita can beat like a Memphis, like they'll play Memphis on Thursday. I think if they can go to Memphis and win,
Everybody's been blowing Memphis out. I think they'll go to Memphis and win.
I just don't. Yeah, it's just not an easy
The
place.
5 of us might be able to take out Memphis right now.
Yeah.
But every win
UAB,
is gonna,
UAB goes everywhere and wins. They win all their wins.
Yeah.
And every victory is going to be huge because this is an American tournament where the top 2 seeds all the way by to the semis. The 3 and 4 get all the way to the quarters without having to play. 5 and 6 even get a day off. So each win in the middle of that pack for the final 10, 12 days, super important here.
Yeah.
I threw UAB up there on the screen for a moment for this. If you look in their losses, you see a pair of road losses. What you notice when you look at those 2 games at NC State, at Middle Tennessee, they were non-conference games. They are undefeated on the road in conference play with just a game at Charlotte left. And the bad news for them now, while not on their home court, the conference tournament's in Birmingham. They needed to be in Tulsa. They needed to be in East Carolina. They need to be anywhere
But it
home.
is
Memphis.
I long for the days with the curtains.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, is that Conference USA? I'm sorry.
It was, but they were in Conference USA for the Kurt. It
They
was
were.
What an
But
Yeah,
here's the
amazing
good news,
feature.
Chad. The good news there is they're playing it at the BJCC, so
Right.
they're not playing it at Bartow. Bartow's where they're losing all their games. So that's the Blazers' saving grace is going over to BJCC.
They'll cross their fingers that's far enough away from home. You know, the 3 miles down the road is far enough away from home.
That we will find out for sure.
Upcoming this week, South Florida tonight is playing at Rice, and then they're hosting Tulane over the weekend. Those are the key games. I guess we should also circle next Wednesday. UAB at Charlotte to go for that perfect road record.
Yeah.
I'll be locked in.
I will too.
Griggs, over in the Big Sky Conference, it is. If it's not officially over, it's over.
Yeah, it's over.
Portland
It
State
is. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Portland
Despite
State.
the loss over the weekend, is still
Yeah.
just wow.
So Portland State, the most dominant team throughout the year. Since the start of February, I still think Northern Colorado, 7 straight wins, a real impressive out-of-conference slate. I don't know what happened to them in the month of January or why they decided to just take the month off. I still think Northern Colorado, while down in the standings because they did take January off, might be playing better than anyone in the league last year. I made this point last year, and they continue to win games. They were 1-7. Was it 0-7 or 1-7? I think they were 0-7.
1-7 from January 1st to January 24th.
Yeah, and since then they haven't lost. And in a tournament format, which is a knockout format, even though they're coming out of sort of the middle of that bracket, I think that they are the most dangerous team right now. And one of their wins was against Portland State, albeit at home.
Well, it's not going to be a true road game at Portland State. These games
Yeah.
will all be in Boise for the conference tournament.
But that's just odd. I can't think of too many examples of teams that have had that kind of a season.
They technically need one more win to clinch outright first place at Montana
Yeah.
State, at Montana, hosting Weber this week. I'd be shocked if they can't find a win with one of them.
Right. Yeah, I would too. And Portland State's had a great year.
I guess, like, even though our friend John Sleek is not with us tonight, tomorrow night, we got to give a shout out to him because one of his favorite rivalries
Yeah.
is coming up.
The NOCO?
Yeah.
The
No
Nokoiwu Cup.
Yeah,
We love
Eastern
our big
Washington's Eastern Washington is the story of the conference by far. Right now, undefeated in February, just beat Portland State. They were 5-17, Chad. This team was
Yeah.
5-17, and now they're undefeated this month. They lost overtime games to Colorado and North Texas. They lost games to UCLA and Loyola Marymount that they could have won. They were up with 4 minutes to go, and they finally started figuring out how to win. And now they've been shot out of a cannon this month. Been an amazing story. Got to write about them a little earlier this week.
The Big Sky tournament is not going to, it has the potential to be the complete opposite of chalk.
And that makes actually tomorrow
Always.
night's game fascinating. It is a 7-game win streak versus a 6-game win streak in the
Yeah.
Nokoiwu
It is.
Cup.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
I would love to be there.
Me too.
All right. We'll get you on on a private plane and get you there.
Well, thank you, Mr. Griggs.
All right. Yeah.
Dan Munson up to his old tricks.
Yeah.
Mike, over in the Big South Conference, High Point got the huge win over the
Yes.
weekend over Winthrop, and now has the 1-game lead with just a couple games left to play.
Yeah, and then so have they split or swept Winthrop?
Split.
They
Split.
I
Okay,
thought.
so I was gonna say, so
Yeah.
they haven't
Yeah,
clicked.
they did split.
But they're still in good position. The good thing they got at least a split with Winthrop. With the season any conference you can say the season's winding down. But if you look at the net, they're in the top 100, top 75, and the far ahead of the other teams. They should be the favorite in the conference. They look to be the best team.
They will be the favorite. They almost kind of they had a lead for most of that game. Winthrop really came charging back in the late minutes of that game, the second game. I still think I still think Winthrop, even though they're a game behind, it's not a slam dunk that High Point is going to beat them. If the Chalk holds and the two meet in the final and we get a rubber match, this is a good Winthrop team that has a high ceiling. They just don't always play up to it. You might recall they nearly beat Arkansas out of conference. Part of that might just be High Point is clearly, from a talent standpoint, far more talented. But wouldn't you say Winthrop is the more scrappy team? They just play hard.
That's a fair point. High Point is playing at Presbyterian tonight, their final game of the season. Them and Morehead State. I don't know whose game is going to go final. I'm sorry, tomorrow night. Them and Morehead State playing tomorrow night. First two teams to wrap up their regular seasons, which is almost crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But they win at Presby. They've clinched the outright Big South title. It doesn't matter what Winthrop does in their last two
Right.
games. Dorman, over in the Big West Conference, we're back to the three-way tie between with Irvine and Hawaii. But now it's only Northridge is that third team in there with them.
I got to get
Yeah.
Rocco's take on Northridge. Oh my God, look at them.
There was a great game at Saturday night.
Two three-way
late.
ties.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hawaii was hosting Santa Barbara in a game they had to have. Santa Barbara was gritty. They were in it the whole way. And Hawaii forced overtime late and then took control in overtime in front of a great crowd. It was a fun atmosphere there Saturday night in Hawaii. And now they sit atop with Northridge and with Irvine. And it's just not only that, it's look what else is behind those three. You got Davis, Santa Barbara, Fullerton all at 10-7. Why this becomes so important, again, is this is a weird ladder for the brackets of the Big West. 1 and 2 bye all the way to the semis. 3 and 4 get the bye to the quarters. Obviously, every game you don't have to play is huge because all these teams are so close to each other talent-wise. And I think we got a fantastic Big West tournament coming up. Wide open. There's about 7 teams I could name. Neither of any of which one would not surprise me. And a great finishing weekend coming up in the Big West. Not this weekend. They'll go right through till next weekend.
Yeah, Rocco, I got to ask you, first of all, just note here, Santa Barbara, what a tough week, 2 overtime losses. But this, Briggs mentioned, what's your take on this Northridge team that is now suddenly in this three-way tie?
Well, Santa Barbara keeps, losing Miro Little, and I think he's been the real key to their success. When he came back from his first injury, they ripped off 6 wins in a row. Now he's out again, and they lose 3 in a row. I mean, it's hard to point it to one guy when you have a deep team like the Gauchos, but he's really been their go-to guy when he's back in games, and he just kind of makes everything else work. Frees up Mahaney on the outside, gets more looks for Katenge in the inside, and obviously with Colin Smith and Zion Sensley, CJ Shaw, they have plenty of scorers. Santa Barbara clearly has the most talent in the league, in my opinion. But CSUN under Andy Newman, great question. I mean, these guys have played such inspired basketball. Obviously, they have Larry Hughes II, who we saw for a couple of years at St. Louis, playing really well. But the key was getting both Mahmoud Fofana back this year and Joshua Ogaro, 2 really great rebounders and glue guys. And they're just so committed to winning at this stage. They've really bought in. At one point, they were 4-5, Chad. Now they're 11-5. And during that stretch, they beat Santa Barbara, they beat Hawaii,
Yeah.
they beat UCSD, they beat the hottest team in the league right now, which I would argue is Cal Poly, who's all the way back to 8-8. They went to Hawaii and smoked Hawaii in their house last week. And so CSUN and Irvine finally going to clash here tomorrow night. I might actually wake up early, try to drive down to Northridge. Because I'm so fired up about this. And then, like I said, on the other side, Cal Poly's pretty much locked up a spot in the Big West tournament, which they're going to be very live to come from like the 7 or 8 seed and maybe win the whole thing.
I was going to just say, Rocco, I couldn't be more impressed with this with Cal Poly's turnaround. Like at some point, like 2 years ago, they had lost like 46 games, I believe, in the conference. And they really started playing really good ball last year at the end of the conference season, and it brought it right into this season. I couldn't be more impressed. I believe it's Mike DeGeorge is the head coach, and he's just done unbelievable work at Cal Poly in a quick amount of time.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. And, what's even more crazy is last year he brought 4 of his starters from Colorado Mesa Division II. So it kind of made sense that, they had some glue, got some wins together. Them just qualifying for the tournament was a huge story last year. Then they went into the tournament and won 2 games. I was at their first win in the Big West tournament last year. So they already kind of got a taste of it. Now all those guys have graduated. So DeGeorge and the staff had to start over from scratch in this new Division I world, going through the transfer portal, putting pieces together, getting Peter Bandelj, Caden Ward, Hamad Musa is now an all Big West guy. and they finally started getting going here down the stretch, and it's kind of feeling like last year, but even more dangerous now.
Yeah. 8-team tournament here. It is a ladder format, so huge battles down the stretch to see who gets those top 2 seeds, and really a huge battle to see who gets that 4th seed. If we really look at, there's a 4-team battle right now, for maybe even a 5-team battle for that 4th seed. It's only one game separated 4th from 8th place.
Yeah, it's been nuts, and the Fullerton turnaround's been pretty miraculous too. They were god awful last year, 358th I think in the country, and now they're going to go to the Big West tournament. Credit to Diedrich Turner, he's had a great career there. Made that a one and done bad season in Fullerton.
Griggs, over in the CAA, UNC Wilmington now with a 2-game lead in the loss column, at least 1.5 games overall over Charleston. Although the 2 teams are playing, I think coming up in the next day or so here.
Yeah, so UNC Wilmington, I think they're 1 win away from clinching it outright. Clearly, I think that they've had the best overall season. As far as who is the most dangerous team, I need to stop banging the Hofstra drum. They really, really dropped the ball and poked themselves in the eye and stubbed their toes, or whatever euphemism you want to use, for losing games they clearly should not have lost. But I can't. Every time I look at them, every time I look at their profile, every time I watch them, I'm like, this is a good team. This is this is a team that can beat anybody in the league. This is a team that lost games that they shouldn't have lost. And in a tournament format, I still think Hofstra can win it.
They had that little 5-game losing streak the middle of 10th of January. Since then, they only one loss, and that loss at Wilmington by 4 points, which was a really good game. So
it was a real good game. Wilmington did beat them though, and I mean, it was a good game on on a bad streaming service, but a very good game.
that game coming up, Wilmington. It's actually coming up this weekend. Is Charleston at Wilmington, though? That's definitely one of the games worth circling here.
Yeah,
as we go through the last few games.
How dangerous is Wilmington? I mean, I think their overall record is a little bit inflated because they played such a weak schedule. I guess you can't.
Yeah.
You can't just dismiss them, though. I mean, they are about to win a pretty good CAA, and there's good teams. There's College of Charleston's good. William and Mary's tough to play against. Elon, even though they're down in the standings, can be dangerous. So can Towson, excuse me. I mean, there's decent teams in this league, and for them to blow through it like they have, that's no small thing.
They better hope they don't get William and Mary in the conference tournament.
True.
That only team that figured them out.
Yeah.
If this, they need William and Mary to finish in that 7 or the 6 seeds, so they're on the opposite side of the bracket, and maybe somebody like Charleston or Hofstra could knock them off before we get there.
Yeah, if William and Mary's in the 8-9 game, like if it's William and Mary versus Elon, Wilmington fans will be there in Elon jerseys or whoever it is rooting for Elon.
Anybody but William and Mary.
Yeah.
Rocco, over in CUSA, we saw one of the more surprising upsets that we've seen. Western Kentucky went to Liberty and not only won by 21 points.
Well, I think you can't start to tell the Western Kentucky story unless you go back a couple of nights and talk about their game at Delaware, which was the most unbelievable game I've seen all season in Conference USA. Delaware had control the entire game. I think they led by 18 in the second half. And mind you, Chad, you know better than most, the bottom 2 teams in Conference USA do not make the conference tournament. So these are some of the most intense games you can find at this time of year. Delaware playing their butts off. But Western Kentucky, kudos to them. They did not fold. They started making some threes, fought their way back in it. But somehow they drew 2 fouls in the last 11 seconds to cut a 4-point deficit into a sudden overtime situation. Then in overtime, they're down 4 again with a minute to go. And they somehow get a couple more fouls and pull the thing out. I'm not blaming the officiating at all. I think they made savvy plays and didn't quit, which was like the key element there. Persevering at Delaware, I think, got them feeling really, really good about themselves. A loss turned into a win, as Scott Hansen, of course, from Red Zone would say. And they went into Liberty 2 days later with nothing to lose. And they played loose, and they completely dominated the Flames. And an unbelievable result for those of us just scrolling through scores during Saturday. But that was really why it happened, in my opinion, is because of the way they somehow got out of Delaware with the W.
Yeah, and Liberty, meanwhile, really struggled with FIU on Thursday also. And this was a team they're just not playing their best basketball when they need to be playing their best basketball. And I think they got another week and a half of regular season left. Big game coming up tomorrow at Kennesaw, then at Jacksonville State. This team needs to get hot here in the last week or so, or they could be if they're going in struggling into the conference tournament, they could be one and done in Huntsville there.
I think Sam Houston State is yet to be heard from. I think there is upside. They seem to be playing better basketball lately. They'll be probably in that 2 line away from Liberty until the championship.
Yeah, they get Liberty on the last game of the season. Won't have a lot of stakes involved, but it will be a chance to get a little bit of a size each other up opportunity once again. And I do think Liberty's bench, they don't really use a bench. And, at this time of year, they might be losing their legs a little bit.
Yeah.
Or it could just be like, let's save some of our bullets for when it counts because we're not getting in that large bid. So it could be a combination of those two things.
And I think sometimes when you're that good and you're like, you don't have the benefit of a showcase game, or I don't want to say that the games have no stakes, but like it isn't right now. I've got, the Vanderbilt Georgia game on, and it's a big game in front of a big crowd. I think you get a little bit lethargic, teams can, and just sort of going through the motions. It could be that the conference tournament starts and they will answer the bell again.
So you're not watching Wake Forest, Boston College, Griggs? I'm a little disappointed.
I have the parental lock on that, so I don't even accidentally turn it on.
Baby
Hi,
puppets
caramba.
don't like the Eagles.
I didn't know Griggs had parents. That's
He put it on himself.
Yeah.
I didn't know puppets had kids.
Mike, over in the Horizon League, looks like Wright State's in pretty good shape here on the 1 seed, but we've got a heck of a battle for 2 through 6 or 2 through 7 here, going to the last few games of the season.
Yeah, I see that. The seventh place team is 9-9, the second place team 11-7, only 2 games separate. So, really, are they using the traditional format for the tournament?
Oh, no, they're not.
What a question. What a question.
I'm going to have to go ahead and put
I
screen
give you
share down here.
the least traditional format ever.
I'm going to have to go ahead and take a second here.
Oh, Mike.
Switch
Oh.
screens.
Uh-oh.
Just
I
because-
stepped into
just
some
because
doo-doo and I
Mike
didn't
asked
even know
about
about
it.
No, this is not. This is like as bass backwards as the AC8. Only this is real. How many drugs did the person who came up with this use?
Yes, there are 5 games. There's a single game in the first round. There are 5 games in the second round, and then there's a reseed into a new 5-team tournament
geez.
beginning Sunday. It is, it's crazy. It's wild. You want the key here, I think, for the regular season. Get one of those top 3 seeds. That means you win a single home game on Wednesday. You go right into the semifinals on Monday.
So
I'm
we
looking
don't
and
know what to
one
call
against
this round.
10-11 winner, then you have the quarterfinals 2-9, 3-8, 4-7, but then they reseed when you get to the
And then a
quarterfinals.
reseed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes from 11 to 10 to 5.
Jeez.
And then they reseed the 5. I think we're calling that the quintuple finals because it's not a
Yeah.
quarterfinal.
They're giving
Oy vey.
the best team left in Indianapolis an extra advantage by getting a winner of a team that played the night before.
Yeah.
Yes. So Wright State looks like they're in pretty good shape for that spot. But again, that 2 and 3, which is the Robert Morris, Detroit, Oakland, Green Bay, even Fort Wayne battle, as we head to these last few games here, is really interesting. On that note,
Detroit Mercy playing good basketball, won 4 in a row.
Amazing.
Detroit finally
Mark
turned this
Montgomery,
pro-
former longtime Michigan State assistant, he's at Detroit Mercy. He's doing a good job.
I totally agree, Mike. He's
Phenomenal.
done a phenomenal job, and they're playing really good basketball. I think they're going to be heard from in this tournament, and just turning around this program has really been awesome.
as we record this, they're up at the half at Robert Morris, the Robert Morris team that just went to Wright
They're
State and
hot.
blew them out of the water over the weekend. So
Yeah, those are the 2 hottest teams, and they're playing each other tonight. It's pretty exciting to see that matchup. And Detroit Mercy's not backing down from anybody right now.
other upcoming games here on the schedule, we see the rest of the games this weekend. We've got Detroit's going to be at Oakland. That's another game that could factor in here. Robert Morris gets a little bit easier. They get Cleveland State, but
Yeah, it's big because the top five, of course, get home games, and it would be a big deal for a team like Detroit Mercy to get a home game in this tournament, even if
Yeah.
they are the 5 seed. Obviously, a win tonight, they're looking really good.
I think they lock up a home game with the win. I believe.
Yeah, I could see
I
that.
believe
I
they.
could see
Yeah,
that.
they definitely lock up a home game with the win tonight.
So we'll keep our eye on that. And IU Indy, are they locked? They are locked into the 10-11 game.
They are locked in. There'll be a road
Oh,
game. Yeah, probably at
They're on
Cleveland
the
State.
road.
Could either at Cleveland State or at Milwaukee. The only thing that line there is what time that game is going to start off our championship week. It's our first game. If it's in
It
Cleveland, it'll
is.
be 7 Eastern. If it's in Milwaukee, it'll be 8 Eastern. It'll be 7 local, no matter what time it is. So,
The other question, Chad, is if their bus is going to burn.
Huh? Okay.
It'll be-
They got to get to this. They got to get to this game. They have to travel. IU Indy traveling scares me.
Rocco, over in the Ivy League here, Yale got the win, got a game out of from Penn, but found a way to get the win here,
Penn
and
is
they
good.
still have the lead in the conference.
That's like 2 straight Yale wins where I'm more impressed with the losing team. I think that's like how much I respect Yale. But the way that Harvard battled them both times was amazing. I think Harvard's super legit, but the way Pennsylvania battled them was also equally as legit. This game was at the Cathedral of Sweat in New Haven, and at halftime, Penn was up by 5. It was a hot start to the second half. That was the only real difference of the game. Penn played even with them down the stretch, but they end up losing by 4. And Michael Zanoni, he's been a great senior there. TJ Power, Ethan Roberts. That's a nice trio for Fran McCaffrey. And if you're going to take a dark horse in Ivy Madness, it does look like Penn's likely going to qualify. They're 6-5 today, with 3 to go, sitting in the 3rd position. They are a live dark horse for sure. The battle for the 4th spot, as usual, is hot and heavy.
Yeah.
But I think those top 3, like I could honestly see any of the 3 get into March Madness. That's how much Penn impressed me on Saturday.
Yeah,
And-
I highlighted the Cornell, the Dartmouth games because those are key right
Yeah.
now in the battle. They will play each other head to head though. The final game of the season, Cornell and Dartmouth. So really, we'll see what happens this weekend just to see where that's set up. We could have a winner take all game to end the regular season for that 4th spot.
And Chad, that 4th spot could go to Cornell if they win it. And the conference tournament is in Cornell. So Yale would have a sort of road game in the Ivy semis. And that would be a fun atmosphere. Yale had to go play Cornell in Cornell to start off the Ivy League tournament.
They'll get a test there Friday night. That's the regular season matchup at Cornell.
Yep.
Dorman, let me stick with you over in the Metro Atlantic, where Mary Mac has just run away with the conference at this
What
point.
a story.
Incredible.
So some exciting games this week, though, an overtime and a double overtime.
Yep. To Siena, who, in my opinion, Siena is the 2nd best team in this conference. They also got revenge on St. Peter's, too, who they had lost to previously. But Merrimack, I can't say enough positive things about him. It is hard to transition from different divisions of basketball. It's a whole different. Your program is just going in it's a huge change, and for Merrimack to be just absolutely doing a dominating this conference, relatively new, it just speaks volumes. Now, having said that, the MAC, the Metro Atlantic, very rarely goes to form, so Merrimack better be on top of their game because the MAC is known for upsets, and many of them come tourney time. But I like Merrimack. I love the way this team plays.
I'll be there starting next Thursday night for the Metro Atlantic tournament. Anyone out there is coming, come and find me at the games. I should be there for the entire, I believe most of the tournament, probably all of it.
I
About
was going to be there, but I'm barred out.
$10 autographs, is that, Chad? $10?
No, I'll if you mention Hoops HD, I'll give them for $5.
Wow.
Ooh.
I mean, the other battles here are all about seeding. It is a fairly standard format 10-team tournament, though. So, but you want to get at least not finish 7th through 10th and have to play the extra game. There are some pretty good battles we'll have here the last few games. There's Siena's games and St. Peter's games. I'll highlight those, going for the 2 seeds and the 3 seeds. But Griggs, over in the Mid-American Conference, where we don't discuss Miami, Ohio, despite the fact they're 28-0 and 21st in the nation, and got a little bit of a test yesterday in the second half, but found a way to win at Eastern Michigan. But I think we should discuss a little Akron.
Yeah, Akron probably not getting the spotlight or the attention that, I mean, they're probably better than what people realize, obviously being overshadowed by that team that we talk about on Mondays. But
Other
this is a
Miami.
really, really good Akron team. They've only lost one game. It was the game at Miami, and they lost by 3. I still was a little bit disappointed when they went down to Troy and didn't play well in the challenge. But overall, we've watched this team a lot. We've watched them really, really closely. And I still think that while that team we discuss on Monday, excuse me, is probably playing as well at any point as they had this season, it would not shock me at all. And I think I might actually pick Akron to win the MAC tournament. They're good. They are, Rocco, you're with me on this. This is a good team.
Let me throw it in there. I'll throw it to Rocco on this, though. One of the things, though, about this Miami team is this entire season has been about the revenge for what happened in the conference tournament championship game last year against Akron.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge part of them coming back and being on a mission this year. So there's no doubt about that. Akron, they have a high gear and obviously a good amount of talent. You look at Tavari Johnson; he's got a great case to be MAC Player of the Year. Amani Lyles has been an amazing sidekick for him. They're a terrific offensive ball club. But my biggest issue with the Zips, and this goes back to several years now under Grosh, where they keep landing towards the top of the league with all their resources, is their commitment to the defensive end and not being able to stop transition buckets. You saw it when they lost to Murray State earlier this year and gave up 115 in regulation. You saw it in the NCAA tournament last year when the game against Arizona was over in about 2 minutes. And that's where I don't trust Akron. But in general, for an under the radar team, Akron is very, very well resourced, very talented, and they're a difficult team for an average under the radar team to handle.
And they only lost by 3 at Miami.
They did.
They faced Miami, it'll be on a neutral court. So I mean, who knows?
They did, and it was a really good game. It was a real good game.
Big, huge game Friday night. One of the top rivalries in the conference.
Yes.
Akron at Kent State.
Wagon wheel.
Yes. And Kent State is quietly, because all the
Very
people
good.
all the people that don't talk about the team we're not allowed to talk to because they're on Mondays, they will talk about Akron all the time. But Kent State gets left in the dust, but they're still 12-3. They lost an unfortunate 1-point game in that MAC Sunbelt Challenge. But they've had a great year back right here at 21-7. They were in a 19-point hold of the Chippewas last night. Chippewas playing for their lives, trying to get into Cleveland. And Kent State came back and won anyway. I was really impressed with their effort in that game.
Yeah. I highlighted, Western Michigan and Toledo's games for this week as well. So keep an eye on those 2 teams. They could get a major upset over some team that we talk about Mondays, but there's Akron's games as well. But let's jump. Rocco, let me stick with you over the MEAC, where finally I think the best team is in first place.
Well, Morgan State. I think Morgan State's about to close out South Carolina State, and that would put the Bears back in control.
Back into the first place tie. Yeah, they have the tiebreaker.
Well, they beat Howard. They beat Howard head to head, so advantage Morgan State for now. But they play again on Saturday. Good little preview there. Howard is clearly head and shoulders when they're clicking the way they have been lately. The best team in the league. They beat NC Central by 33. The game before that, they won by 32 over Delaware State, and they beat UMES by 26. That's their last 3 results. Though, if you want to go back one more game, they went to overtime with Yale. So, Howard behind Bryce Harris, Cedric Taylor, O.C. Okoji, and Cam Gillis. They're finally some of these guys have missed time. They're healthy right now, and I think we're in an odd spot where Morgan State, is going to compete to the wire, hopefully for their sake, for the conference standings. But Howard might just run right through this MEAC tournament.
Yeah. The one advantage, though, if Morgan State can get that one seed somehow, with Coppin State not participating in the conference tournament, you do get
They,
that bye to the semis.
yeah,
You get to skip
by
that
into the
bye.
first round.
semis.
Yep.
And you'll be a little more rested heading to the championship game,
Right.
uh, if they do meet each other there.
Exactly. And the other thing that should be noted is the last game of the season, since this is the final Under the Radar show of the season. Rest in peace, Under the Radar. But I would say the road game to Norfolk State for Howard, no matter where Norfolk's at, that's never an easy place to win. So Howard could slip at the very end.
Very true.
As you mentioned, the game of the week this week in the conference, Howard at Morgan State on Saturday. Circle that
Right.
one. Should be streaming on that one, available for that one. Who we up to? Dorman, Missouri Valley Conference time, and here's another conference that's pretty much over the conference regular season. 15-3 now for Belmont.
Yep, Belmont is
We're going to lock it up tonight here if the score holds. Yep.
Yeah, they'll lock up the outright. It's been Belmont and all Belmont for the last 4 to 6 weeks in the Valley. But some interesting storylines behind them. It's a typical bracket once we get to St. Louis. There, UIC, Illinois Chicago, playing as well as this program has played in over a decade, and got a big win last night again. There was a big hope coming into the season for Illinois State and Bradley. Let's see if they can be heard from as we head to Arch Madness. And Northern Iowa's been up and down. Ben Jacobson has had his words a frustrating year because he believes he has the talent and just not putting it all together. But as we've seen in this tournament, teams catch up fire and get hot and get confident and don't want their season to end. And I think it'll be another crazy year in the Valley. In the Valley, I think Belmont's definitely the cream of the crop. But again, this is going to be open if Belmont doesn't play at the top of their game.
Yeah, I think you're right. If you tell me right now Belmont's not going to win this conference tournament, I have no idea who I'd pick. There are 6 teams that legitimately could all win this. And Southern Illinois has had some flashes even as a seven.
Yeah, Northern Iowa. I mean, just real. They've been one of the bigger disappointments, and UIC has been one of the bigger successes. And of course, they're tied in the. They're just a game apart in the standings. But I don't know. Belmont, so good.
Upcoming games, besides the ones going on right now over the weekend, Belmont's at Illinois State. Definitely, worth keeping an eye on that one. Murray State at Bradley. Huge game in that battle for this seeding that's going on. We're up to here. Mike, one of our favorite conferences, the Northeast Conference, and LIU send their 3 games up despite the loss to Mercyhurst over the weekend.
And they've wrapped it. It's theirs, right?
Yeah, 3-game
yes,
lead this late in the season. It's basically theirs. So congratulations, early congratulations to Long Island for the regular season title. But as you can see, everybody's even Long Island's their net rating is 200 or worse. So this is definitely a 16 seed or possibly Dayton.
Yeah, Long Island.
Griggs, I think the one remaining major story in this conference is the battle for the final spot in the conference tournament. Only because New Haven is not eligible for the conference tournament, Lemoyne and Mercyhurst are. It'll be looks like right now it'll be between Chicago State and St. Francis. And huge for St. Francis because if they don't qualify for the conference tournament, their D1 is over. If they do, they at least get one more game in D1.
Yeah. So Chicago State, one of the things they had that little winning streak that they went on, and the fever took over the city of Chicago so much that the Bears just decided they had to leave and move to Indiana.
I'm not certain who wins the tiebreaker between Chicago State and St. Francis. Let's see if we can take a look at this real quick. It looks like they split. So I don't know. We'll have to.
Is the next tiebreaker just the next in the standings? How did they do against Long Island? How'd they do against whoever's in second?
Yeah,
third?
it might come down to something like that. So we'll try to figure that out for people, especially after we get through tomorrow's games and we're down to 1 game to go. But they both have a pair of road games to finish the season, so we'll see. Although Chicago State Tougher one at Long Island, easier one at Wagner, so who knows? Uh, Rocco, over in the, we already did the OVC. How
Yeah.
about over to the Patriot League? Another team that's wrapped it up.
Yeah, how about the midshipmen, Chad? How about them? 15-1, coasting. They're dominating Loyola Maryland as we record this right now. So on their way to 16-1, and one more game with Colgate just for the hell of it coming up next. So that'll be a fun finish. But the Patriot League tournament comes through Annapolis through the duration as long as the midshipmen keep winning. And I think there's something after this win today. I think they'll be 24-1 in their last 25, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, it really
Wow.
is.
Amazing.
There have been some good teams in Navy, but in terms of record, at least, I think this may be one of their best ever. It's
Yeah,
a good
it
Yeah,
is.
they don't have David Robinson, but they do have
No.
Austin Bonini.
Yeah. That team they had with David Robinson went to a Sweet 16. So
They were
This is
awesome.
our best team
Yeah.
since.
it very well could be.
Yeah.
They had a 16 seed right after Robinson graduated that really messed around with the 1 seed. I still remember that game for some
Okay.
reason.
Well, I remember that game too. I can't remember what team it was, but
It wasn't Georgetown, but it was somebody like that, maybe Virginia or something.
Yeah.
we'll see if we can't get an answer on that. But
If Stalika was here, he would know.
yeah, we need Stalika. But Dorman, since we don't have Stalika, let me go to you and let's talk a little SoCon hoops.
Yeah. Interesting. East Tennessee State, who has been a great program for many, many years, is back at the top of the SoCon conference here. They didn't get out to a great start, but playing much better as of late. This is another conference I think is wide open. Do not think East Tennessee State is that much stronger than the Mercers and the Woodfords and the Furmans. I think the seed there, the 2, 3, and 4, as we sit there in the standings, are all really, really good basketball teams. And I know I said this before, but if form holds here, it would be a great semis for the Southern with those top 4. I just think they're a cut above the rest. Sanford's also not a bad squad, but if we could get the top 4 teams in Asheville, I think you're looking at an incredible tournament.
Are they in Asheville this year?
Yes.
Yes, we're back in Asheville again.
Oh, it is? Oh, for some reason, I was thinking it was in Johnson City still.
I
Okay.
think that's the Big South. That's in Johnson City. Big South is in Johnson City, even though East Tennessee State is actually going to be hosting the Big South tournament for.
Okay, there you go. That makes sense. Okay, now I understand. Okay, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but Rocco, we do have some great battles here beyond East Tennessee State for seeding, at least in this league, heading down the stretch here with a couple good games going on right now as we record this evening.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Samford. That's the team I've got my eye on big time, Chad, with the the gelling that took a little extra long. It's the first year of Lenny Acuff, but obviously he's a tremendous coach. And bringing Dylan Faulkner over and all the action coming through Jaden Booth, it was overwhelming for East Tennessee State in the first half in the game two Saturdays ago. And East Tennessee State, credit to them, they got the game to OT, but Samford was superior in that game. Now, of course, last Saturday, Samford slips up in a shootout against Mercer, but that's a Mercer team they beat by 20 at home. And I just think you look at Samford in their last 8 games, they're 7-1, 8 of their last 10, and they're really peaking at the right time. And I think it's a pretty wide open tournament out in Asheville. Bulldogs are my sneaky pick here.
Sneaky pick there for Sanford. Last few games coming up here on the schedule, including East Tennessee State at Mercer, who's currently at second place tie after the game against Wofford, the other second place team today. So East Tennessee State could either make a statement or tell everybody that they're beatable over these last couple games here.
Everyone gets to go to Asheville.
Yeah, the other team, Chad, real quick, is Chattanooga. They've been a really, really frustrating season with all the injuries. They got back to decent health last week, probably the healthiest they've been in months, and they did beat Mercer on the road by 4. I thought that really opened my eyes. Dominated the Citadel. Don't really learn a lot from that, but they did lose to the Citadel with all of their injuries earlier in February. So I'm curious to see how Chattanooga finishes. They're probably going to have to play a pillow fight game in Asheville. But
It looks like they'll have to play the Citadel again in their opening round and then get East Tennessee State. They look like they're almost locked into that 8-9 game. So,
Yeah, it
which
looks like.
which is great because you can knock East Tennessee State out right out of the gate and then focus on somebody else later. But I'm just saying with Dan Earl and Mulholland finally playing healthy, Chattanooga is alive in that tournament.
Mike, over in the Southland Conference, the story this week was Stephen F. Austin had been just cruising along, and New Orleans comes to town and just shocked us.
Yeah, on on SFA's home court. I still think they'll win the regular season title, but they could have really put it away had they won. But that's why you play the games in New Orleans. New Orleans, 11-8 coming in, now 12-8. They're not that bad of a team, but upsets happen. Definitely a shocker to me.
Yeah,
At
they
the end
were
of the
way
day,
behind. They were down by close to 20, I think, at one point in that game. SFA, they did come back and make it, but they just did not. They just slept through their alarm. My God.
but Griggs, at the end of the day, whether they're the 1 seed or the 2 seed, they'll get the bye into the semifinals, and the championship game will be at McNeese. And
Right.
these two teams should play each other. And honestly, I don't know that it matters if you're 1 or 2 at this point. You're
It
not going to
doesn't.
get that much easier of a matchup in the semifinal. UTRGV, New Orleans, Corpus Christi, Nichols, they're all about on par with each other.
Yeah, it doesn't. You just hate that that the first place team has to play what amounts to a true road game.
Upcoming this week, we still have another week and a half or so left in this conference, but SFA is going to be at Houston Christian and at Incarnate Word, while McNeese at New Orleans and at Nichols. So both teams with a pair of road games.
Yeah.
Rocco, over in the SWAC. And how about Reggie Theus' team still there in first place?
Still there. They built up a nice buffer for themselves, but I think they're still playing without Dr. Bradley, so very beatable at the current
Has he
in their
played at all
current
this
state.
season?
Oh yeah, he's played a bunch.
Okay.
He played 8 games this year, so not a bunch, but
Not a lot, yeah.
he played some SWAC games. In fact, all 8 games he played were early SWAC play, and in the games he played, they're 7-1. They did lose to Southern with him, only playing 15 minutes, but he torched a few teams in between there. And I don't know if he's coming back. They keep showing him on the broadcast. He's got his boot on. It'll be interesting, but I don't think Bethune is untouchable when he's out. And so it'll be interesting. They have to finish with 3 road games, Chad, at Grambling, at Southern, at FAMU. Those are all very losable games for Bethune. If you pretend that does happen, they finish 12-6. Somebody else could either share the title or maybe even take it away from the Wildcats.
The other big story in this conference from the past week, Griggs, happened on Saturday. Congrats
Yes.
to the Delta Devils, get their first D1 win of the season
Yes.
in their last home game of the season. They've got a couple of road games in the conference tournament left after this, but
Yeah.
they beat Texas Southern.
Yeah, a big win on senior night. Massive centenary implications. I think you're going to see this team on the Hoops HD board during the selection shows, albeit as the centenary winner.
It's
The
rare
radio.
that a centenary contender wins a game late in the season and still wins the award, but that's how far.
Yeah.
I think they put a team like Gardner Webb within reach now, but I think they need to find another way to win another game here. But upcoming this week, real quick here, Bethune. We mentioned their road games at Grambling, at Southern. Oh, look at Mississippi Valley. They're at Pine Bluff and at Alcorn.
Yeah.
But Dorman over in the Summit League, another conference that is pretty much close to being wrapped up with North Dakota State now up 3 games on St. Thomas.
Yes, exactly right. I did not see this coming into the season. I did not even have North Dakota State in the top half of the predictions as I saw this, but they've played great. They've been on it all year. They've only lost 1 game, like you can see there in the conference. The tournament is in South Dakota. This is always a lot of fans in the gym. at this tournament, and it's exciting. There's a lot of good offensive players and shooters, and up and down the floor they go. So this is just really exciting basketball. South Dakota's had some moments this year. I don't think by any means North Dakota State is going to roll right through the Summit League when we get to Sioux Falls in a couple of next week, middle of next week. Omaha's had some moments where they look good and then they drop a few, but a lot of people still think St. Thomas is the top team, top talent. And it's just they have their issues when they get away from home. Great home court crowd. It's when they get away that it seems to, if they can put that together, this could be a dangerous Tommy's team.
Yeah, and don't overlook this Denver team, Rocco.
Yeah.
I think you've been following them a bit here. This team could be another sleeper pick in that Summit League tournament.
Oh yeah, they're the
Years
pick.
ago,
Yes.
I picked Denver so often, and they let me down so much that I vowed I'd never pick them again.
Well, Denver's the one team that's beaten everybody for the most part in the league. They've certainly beat the top teams. They just knocked off St. Thomas in a fierce battle on Saturday. The only team to beat North Dakota State, and they did it in Fargo. If you can
Yeah.
beat North Dakota State in Fargo, you could probably beat them in Sioux Falls, which will be required, obviously. And so Denver, with the experience and the coaching, obviously the main guy Carson Johnson and 3 other starters all came with Coach Tim Bergstrasser from Minnesota State Moorhead, which if you pull out your Google map, you will find is just 15 minutes away from Fargo. They know this North Dakota State team intimately, and they want a big piece of the Bison once again if they can get them in the conference tournament.
I love this tournament. It's how many years? The 8-1 game of this tournament is must-watch TV every year. The 8 doesn't always win, but they do sometimes, and it's always a much better game. Just law of averages. Having said that, surely that won't happen this year. Will it?
I'll tell you first of all, I think the 8-9 game between Oral Roberts and Kansas City is going to be not watch TV. I expect Oral Roberts to win that game by 50 points, but
Yeah.
Yeah, Kansas City's drawing dead without a coach, but Denver. I was looking at your screen chat. I just wanted to point out, look at the offense compared to the defense. They cannot stop anything, but they can score like crazy. So Denver games are very exciting. Let's just put it that way.
if you like conference tournament previews, by the way, coming up Saturday, regular season finale, Oral Roberts at Kansas City. They will play again in the 8-9 game. So how exciting is that?
Yeah.
North Dakota State, St. Thomas, the big game tomorrow night. The top 2 teams in the conference.
Yes.
I'm going to do a couple of you on this. Mike, let me start with you, and then Rock. I also want to ask you about the Sun Belt
Oh, my
because
God.
this was our featured conference last
look
week,
at-
and I
look
think
at-
it's crazier this week than it was last week as we head into the
This is the
last.
Stairway to 7 tournament.
Yeah, it
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Stairway to
And
Seven.
one game could make the difference between a bye to the
1 and
semis.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there is one game left for everybody basically at this point, other than Georgia Southern
And JMU.
James Madison, and I think South Alabama plays Monroe tonight also. But other than that, it'll be down to one game.
Oh my goodness!
Chad.
I've never seen that before. Only one game separate the top 7 teams.
Yeah, go ahead, Rocco.
Sorry.
I was just curious how long we got to wait until the Stairway to 7 music starts playing again. But I'll digress on that. Yeah, I think it's just phenomenal. I mean, Troy, there it is. I heard it. Troy is a team, they have a different gear, I think, than the rest offensively. But for whatever reason, they haven't been able to lock in as tight defensively as we've been accustomed to seeing under Scott Cross. And that's really opened the door for teams like Appalachian State, who do play the best defense. But outside of Cason Jennings and Alonzo Dodd, they don't have a lot of offensive weaponry. South Alabama, I think you know the story there. It's just nothing but zone defense. And if Chase Harris can, find seams in the defense, or Adam Olson making threes from the outside. So there's just so many different contrasting styles. Now Texas State and James Madison are hot. James Madison's stuck in the 8-hole right now, so it would be really tough for them to get there. But they had a great week last week.
Yeah, and look at it really, we've got the Georgia Southern James Madison game going on tonight. Louisiana Monroe at South Alabama. We expect South Alabama to take care of this game tonight as well. We've got 7 games all on Friday. And that's it for this conference. This will be our first bracket. It'll be announced probably sometime late Friday night,
Yes.
Saturday morning at the latest. But
Yep.
I mean, every single one of these 7 games on Friday is must-watch TV because there is so much at stake here. So
Yes.
much.
And yeah, as far as the storyline, I thought the Stairway to Seven, the extended ladder, like fireman-sized ladder format that they used was absurd when they came out with it. But for the second year in a row, more so this year than last year, and I didn't even think that was possible, the storylines that this has created for the regular season have just been phenomenal.
I know. I think there's a Big Ten game on Friday night. I don't care. I'm going to have 6
Yeah.
screens on Sunbelt action so Friday night.
Yeah.
I'm going to have the quad
I'm
box
going to
up
follow the
all
Big Ten game on
Sunbelt.
Friday night.
Oh, is it a Michigan Mike? Mike, I thought it was.
It's
I wasn't
Michigan.
sure.
It's Michigan, Illinois. It's not that great of a game.
Well,
But
it's
I was-
not
No,
as
not
good.
at all.
Not as good as the Stairway to Seven.
Not
I
as
think
much at
App
stake in that
State-
game, I'll tell you that much.
App State going to San Marcos probably be the biggest game, and also a special night in San Marcos, Chad, because this will be Texas State's last Sun Belt game in the regular season, and they get it at home, so it'll be their last home Sun Belt game as well.
Yeah, Louisiana Monroe out, I mean, not having a good year, but don't be surprised if they take Troy to overtime.
So with Texas State gone, I believe Louisiana Tech's supposed to be coming in next year, though. Although it's a little bit.
They are. Yes, they
So
are.
I think hopefully we'll still have a Stairway next year. Well, should
Stairway. The Stairway lives.
Dorman, over in the WAC, we talked about at the start of the show about the off the court stuff. How about on the court? Especially assuming Utah Valley does get their final eligibility locked up here for the WAC tournament over the next couple days.
I think you're going to see a fired up Utah Valley team because of what they've gone through. And I think sometimes when things like that happen to you off the court, you get together and you bond and you become as one. And they've gone through a lot. And when you put everything you have into something like a basketball team and for a long period of time, and you become brothers with your teammates, and someone tries to take something away from you that is very important and dear, there's like a rally cry. And I think Utah Valley will be on an absolute mission. On top of that, I think they also have the best talent, the best coach in the conference. So I look for Utah Valley to be a very angry and hungry team and get to go to the NCAA tournament for the first time in a long time.
Pair of games at
First
home,
time ever.
and you can watch them, the pair of games at home this week, thanks to that temporary restraining order, hosting
Yes.
Carleton, hosting Abilene.
Oh,
The other small story here, I guess, is Utah Tech still there. Only one game lost, column behind them. One of the hotter teams in the conference. Really almost coming out of nowhere the last few weeks.
yeah, they really did.
Solid team.
But that concludes everything for our regular conferences. One quick final look through all our mythical conferences. We can update some final standings in these. They'll be up there on the website. There's a tab for them up there as we go through championship week. But Wyoming looks like they're in pretty good shape in the Front Range.
Yep.
Although they do have to host Air Force on Saturday, and if Air Force gets that first Front Range and first Mountain West win, that'd be really bad for Wyoming.
Yeah.
Really bad.
It would be a disaster for Wyoming.
Over in the Beehive, it looks like BYU's in pretty good shape to win this. They are undefeated in conference play.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, you may have seen BYU was celebrating so much that they won the Beehive that they forgot to show up against UCF last night.
It wasn't a Beehive game. It didn't count.
Yeah.
Over the back range with that New Mexico State win over UTEP, it looks like Arizona's got this one wrapped up. They might get Arizona State again in the conference tournament. We'll see. And over the top range, also looks like it's probably wrapped up here with Gonzaga with that 2-0 record. We've had a few of these games with the Idaho and the Montana schools, and another Idaho Eastern Washington on Monday, Griggs. That's a big rivalry, is it not?
Yeah. Well, Idaho Wazoo's the big rivalry, but Eastern
But-
Washington also a big rivalry.
They can't be more than, what, a few miles apart, never mind the
I know.
NCAA tournament?
How close are those two? Wazoo and Idaho are 7.7 miles apart.
Conference of Champions, last but not least, and we do not have this one wrapped up. Right now, it is outright tie between Arizona and Cal, thanks to
Yeah.
Cal's win over Stanford this past week.
Yeah. Wow.
We'll see if Cal can get another Stanford game, Arizona can get another Arizona State game. Actually, Arizona State has a Utah game. Oh, it's Arizona State, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, so neither one of them has a game left regular season, but
Yeah.
conference tournament play counts.
Yeah. Arizona might get Colorado or something.
Let's get to our top 10 list here for Under the Radar.
Oh my
We have
God, we had a
bunch of
first
honorable
place
mentions,
tie.
first of all. Murray State, Utah Valley, Navy, Winthrop, Kent State, California Baptist, and UMBC all getting a little bit of love here from our panel. Enough for an honorable mention, at least. Number 10. How about Tulsa getting some
Tulsa
love there?
gets
Number
in.
10.
Wow.
They're just barely sneaking in there. Got good overall record still in the American. McNeese coming in at number 9, second place team in the Southland. UNC Wilmington, our CAA
Yeah.
leaders at 8.
Climbing the poles. High
High
Point.
Point in at 7. SFA, our Southland leaders at 6. Could have been
Yeah.
higher, but that loss kind of hurt.
Yeah, it really did.
Yale coming in at number 5.
Good Yale team.
South Florida, our leaders in the American, all the way up to number 4 now.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Ooh.
boo. We don't. Yeah.
too big of a school. Way too big of a school.
Yeah, really.
How about a bigger school, student-wise, is Liberty, and they're number 3.
We'll let them slide.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we actually have a first place tie for our final Under the Radar poll of the season. It is between Akron
And
Belmont.
Okay.
So how about Akron getting all the way up to a first place tie despite not projected by anybody to make the NCAA tournament right now? That might be something new for us here.
Yeah, I
don't know if
think
they've
it
done
might
that.
be.
But on that note, let's run through any other final thoughts. And Mike, let me start with you tonight.
Yeah, I mean, conference championship week is coming up, and I'm really excited. Arguably, I think that's the best week or week and a half better than the NCAA tournament itself, and especially for these under the radar conferences. This is everything. You don't have a safety net. Where you don't have any protection like the big conferences get. So this is everything, and like we were saying, getting the best possible seed is huge because most of these under the radar conferences tournaments, they're ladder format. So the higher the seed you get, the fewer games you have to play, the more rest you get. You don't have to play 4 or 5 games. So this is everything for them.
It is. Rocco.
Yeah, Chad. So, one thing that I think holds up in a lot of these conference tournament formats, especially the ones where you play back-to-back days, is how well you can defend and control pace and tempo. And just looking recently at some of the better defenses that are out there, I think one that really pops out as we approach one of the greatest events in college basketball, if not the greatest, better known as Arch Madness, is Southern Illinois winning both of their games last week and holding Northern Iowa into the 50s. Really, really impressive now that Northern Iowa is fully healthy with Tristan Smith and going into Cedar Falls. And they actually won both games in Iowa last week. They won at Drake as well. Drake a little bit down this year. Still tough to do that on the road. Southern Illinois right now, a top 25 defense in the last month of the year. They've really dialed in there. A staple there of Coach Nagy. The other one that really popped was Hofstra and Harvard, who are both in the top 20 in the last month defensively. Big change for Hofstra as they were heavily offensive earlier this year. Now really getting locked in defensively with rim protection there. And obviously Cruz Davis, one of the best players in the league for Hofstra. And Harvard, I've already been singing the praises for weeks, so I won't touch that too much. But really impressive that they're 14th in the country defensively as a unit for the Crimson.
Wow, awesome. Dorman.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback and go right with Mike on his comments about championship week for our under the radar conferences. And I'm right with him. I absolutely love the passion and the drama of what our under the radar teams and conferences do in championship week. But I also struggle with the fact that we have played 3 months of basketball and we know who the best team is in some of these conferences, and it's clear. Austin Peay, 15-1 in the A-Sun. Portland's 12-3 in the Big Sky. High Point, 14-1. Liberty, 15-1. Merrimack, 16-2. And where I'm going with this is is the NCAA tournament better off if they took the regular season champ, who we know is the best team in these conferences because they've proved it over a 3-month period, versus the opportunity for these conferences to get on ESPN or CBS Sports once coming up in championship week, but maybe a lot of the times not get their best team to the tournament? Are they giving up, the glory of the tournament because you're not sending your best team? Maybe High Point could make a run to the 32 or even the Sweet 16 round, and you get all the hype and publicity going into that Sweet 16 as you have those 4 or 5 days off. And it's just something I always try and think about, which is better off, championship week with everything it is, or are under the radar sending the best team they have in their conference to the NCAA tournament.
I agree with you completely about, from a more of a philosophical standpoint, we really want the best teams in. As a fan, I love championship week, and I don't want to see it go away. I would not want to see it
I'm
go
with
away.
you. It's the best thing we have. It's the best thing in the best sport.
I'm with you, Dave. And there's good upsets and bad upsets. To me, a bad upset is when a team is denied an opportunity from an under the radar conference because they picked a bad day to have a bad day and lose. I do think the ultimate compromise to that is for the conference tournament to be formatted in a way that gives the better teams that earn the top spots the easier path. I personally think the best format for any conference tournament was the old, not the current one, but the old Horizon League ladder format that was at campus sites.
At campus sites and reseeding and everything.
Yeah.
Everything they could give to advantage the one seed they did. Please, any other final thoughts from you?
Just one, and I'll try and keep it brief because we've beaten this to death. But going back to the WAC, I just want to say that I'm giddy at the thought of Utah Valley winning the conference tournament and the WAC commissioner or whoever's running that office now having to present them with the trophy. It's the last one ever, and it's just they have the chance for the last action ever in the WAC for that commissioner and that office to have to hand them a trophy, and then they have to go and close the office. I mean, Utah Valley could really get their revenge here.
That's funny. But I do want to take this chance to thank everybody for joining us. As I mentioned, this is it for our regular Wednesday night Under the Radar shows. This is not it by any means for us here as Hoops HD. Next 3 days will be off, beginning Sunday night as part of our bracket rundown show, next Monday night as part of our Hoops HD report, and then every night thereafter as its own standalone show. We are going to be going to Championship Week video notebook mode. We are going to, on a nightly basis, be here going over every single game that happened, regular season games during the first week, every conference tournament game,
survival
tons
board
of
updates.
content.
Yeah.
We're not sleeping. You shouldn't sleep either.
Right.
But on behalf of David Dorman, Rocco Miller, check him out at bracketeer.org, Mike Cha, David Griggs, I'm Chad Sherwood. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again beginning Sunday night and every night thereafter. At Griggs, are you ready to get locked up?
No, we're not doing that this year.
Well, we'll see. See you. Talk to you again real soon.